Prophet Marshall Occurrence. So this video is going to be for only the elite spiritual warriors. Only the elite spiritual warriors. These systems have to be shut down in America. In order for those systems to be shut down, there has to be escalation of wars. Escalation of wars all around the world, all around the country. So basically, God's true people, we are inviting of escalation of wars as America is our enemy. Okay? Y'all understand? See, if you're religious, this is not going to fit into religious vernacular. This is not going to fit into religious anatomy. This ain't part of a religious, I'm not part of religious anatomy, right? This isn't part of religious anatomy. So this is not for religious anatomy. This is for spiritual warriors anatomy, the elite, the soldiers. The voluptuous soldiers. That's what this is about. The brawny, voluptuous soldiers. The brawny and voluptuous soldiers. That's what we talking about. We ain't talking about no religious spirits. Or what they perceive and what they think. And we don't think in terms of them. Okay? This is how these other bastards got this far. These religious people patting them on the back and petting them and babying these people. That's how they even got this far. They wouldn't even have gotten this far if this was another country. If this was Russia. If this was China. If this was the East. They wouldn't even got this far. What we want to happen is escalation of wars. We want escalation of wars. Okay? No, listen. I'm trying to show you how to think when you watch TV, right? Don't be like, oh, that's so bad. Now, ain't that so darn bad? No. No. And no again. You are positioning yourself as America is your enemy. You ain't talking about it's bad. You ain't worried about it being bad. You ain't talking about none of that. Okay? This is the point where basically we turn our back, we turn our mind, we turn our feelings away from the Americans. And every time we see them on the news, guess what? Every time we see them on the news, we're not cheering it on. We're not, yay, hip hip hooray. We're not saying hip hip hooray, but it's progress. Every time they suffer, every time they lose somebody. See, I gotta change how you look at the news. This is your enemy. Listen, man. Listen. They thought we was playing. They thought we was Ned Flanders. They laughed us to a scorn. They laughed me to a scorn like I'm a joke. Like I'm just a piece of meat to play with. How they feel now? How do they feel now? How do they feel now that they know that it's over? How do they feel now? Now that they know it's over. I want you to do is come to terms with the fact that it's over. I want you to start looking at the news the right way. You know the right way you look at the news. You know the right way you look at the news. Every time they suffering, every time they going through something, what's the word you're using? Progress. Progress. The spiritual warriors that are the elite, every time something is happening, progress. Every time destruction is happening in specifically America, progress. Anytime politics is going or rogue, anytime politics is going rogue, politicians are going rogue. Progress. 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 You got to flip around your mind. You being gang stalked, right? You been gang stalked, right? What you think should happen to all these people that gang stalked you, this whole community, all these Americans that was playing in your face, playing in your mind, with your mind, using their children, they stinking children in public, using they stinking children in public against you. What you think should happen? Let me ask somebody that's been through about 10 years plus like me. For y'all that been through it 10 years plus like me, what you think should happen? Everybody that's involved should suffer. And if you got eyes to see and ears to hear and you've been going through this for X amount of time, what you're going to conclude is that this whole country has to suffer, and you're going to ultimately agree with me that these systems need to be shut down. They have to be shut down. These people want to take the liability back to themselves. No, we're not going to let them do that. We're not, because see, they utilize the whole American community against you. That's what I want you to realize. You still wearing American hats and in all American hats. You're wearing you're still showing American pride. That's how I know. Listen, you don't see it all, do you? See, God's people. The difference between a spiritual targeted individual and a normal everyday targeted individual that doesn't know God. The difference is we realize that the whole country was a part of this. You don't want to admit it. That's why I'm going to do a whole video about spiritual targeted individuals and targeted individuals that don't know God, that don't have a relationship with God, that are not spiritual. The difference is we're going to see way more than you see, and God is going to inform us about everything that's going on in its proper context. That's why I can tell you exactly what's going on. That's why I can have complete confidence. Because all the stuff that I've been going through over the years, I've been looking at it not from my own mind. That's what you need to understand. For everybody that's been watching my videos, I don't want you to think that this is something I just conjured up just out of my smarts in my mind, just me being a smart person. That's not what this is. God showed me over time. He opened my spiritual eyes, and I began to see patterns over and over again. Over and over again. And so I speak from looking at patterns and listening to patterns over and over and over and over again. That's how I know what I'm dealing with in every situation. And what I have concluded based on all the information and everything that I have seen is that the systems have to be shut down on the Americans. This is the end of the American community. See, nobody thought it could be done. Nobody thought it would be done. It could be or it would be. Some didn't think it should be. They didn't think it could be, would be, or should be shut down. But it's going to be shut down, and it should be, and it could be, and it would be, and it should be. It's going to be shut down. This is the verdict on the situation. So now you, as a targeted individual, you're not now. See, listen. Listen. You should, and I'm not being arrogant, but you should cash out me right now. Whatever you got going on, it could be a couple dollars, because see, I just put your mind in the proper place so you can stop walking around looking dazed and confused and stir crazy. You don't got to walk around stir crazy. You know all you got to do is realize that this is the enemy. The whole American country is the enemy. This whole country is the enemy. And now you ain't confused about it. This message has taken away the confusion. They are the enemy, the whole thing. The whole thing is the enemy. And now when you watch the news, you're watching the news from as the scope as them being your enemy too. They are your enemy. If they made you the enemy, then they're your enemy too. Come to terms with it. I put your head on straight. Now you see clearly. Now you see clearly. I'm putting your head on straight. Now you see clearly. You ain't got to walk around dazed and confused. Now you see why all this stuff is happening to them. That's the punchline. Now you see why all this stuff is happening. Because God is making it happen. God is doing this to these people. See, but when you confused and you're praying that they get help, then you don't think it's God. You don't think it's God, do you? I'm going to tell you why you don't think it's God. Because you don't think God would do this to these people. And the reason why you don't clearly think it's God also is because you don't realize the full magnitude of everything they've been doing. You ain't seen it all. You don't know it all. Let me explain something to you. When these people play with you and me, and they play with all these Christians, guess what happens? Guess what happens? God gets involved. And when God got involved, guess what he decided to do? He decided to shut down the systems of the United States of America. So while nobody thought it could be done, it's being done. While nobody thought that nobody could beat America, you forgot about God. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You forgot about God. And all you're thinking about what the Americans would do and what they will become. You forgot about God, didn't you? You forgot to incorporate with the future and all these sci-fi movies, all these end game mindsets that you got about what's going to happen to America and all this stuff you think going to happen. You know what you forgot to incorporate? God. What God can do. What God will do, and what God will do to these Americans playing games, gang stalking, and doing all this evil. You've been watching so many movies, you forgot to incorporate God into the reality of all this stuff and all that what's going to happen. You can cash out me anytime. Because what I'm going to do with the offering is I'm going to, listen, what I'm going to do with the cash app, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to put it right back into God's work. And we're going to make spiritual things happen. See, let me take time to explain this in this video. Let me take time to explain this. I'm going to take time to explain this. I don't claim to be a very special person. I'm a spiritual person, right? I'm a prophet of God. They did all of this to a prophet. The gang stalker stuff that you're going through, they hit a gas line playing with the prophet. They hit a gas line and they can't recover. Because these hands right here, they have offended. Putting the offering in my hand, the hands that are offended, is what's going to bring the proper harvest and going to bring the proper reciprocity. If it passes through your hands are not the hands that are offended as much as mine are. These are the hands of a prophet that are offended, right? When the money comes through my hand, these hands that have been offended the way they have been offended, where they put an STD in my body, these hands went through that STD. The blood in these hands had to deal with that STD. Okay? You have to put the offering in these hands. Do you understand? It's not time to try to act like it's me against you or that you're more special than me. What this is about is, look, this is a spiritual strategy. Listen very close. This is a spiritual military strategy. These are the hands of offense. These are the hands that have been offended. These are the hands of the prophet that have been offended. And listen to this. If you're spiritually high ranking, listen to us from a spiritual high ranking position. When they offended these hands, everything that passed through my hands and go into God's kingdom is going to wreak havoc on these people. Do you understand? It's like putting something in these hands is the best investment you could possibly make if you have been gang stalked. You put the offering in my hands and I can finish this job. I want you to ask around. I want you to ask around. Playtime is over. I want you to ask around and ask people what they believe about me. This is how credible I am. Ask people what I went through. Ask people what the community did to me. Ask them, am I credible in spirituality? Ask them. They know who I am. They're afraid for me to get any money. They're afraid for money to pass through these hands. Glory to Yahweh. They're afraid for money to pass through these hands of offense that have been offended. Because if you do it, it ain't gonna work the same. I'm trying to tell you, it's a spiritual recipe. Listen, that you must work, and we must work together. I can get this done, but here's the part that me and you gotta have an understanding on. I don't know how you feel about the world. I don't know how you feel about the future. But to me, I no longer care about the future. I no longer care about what tomorrow may bring anymore. All I care about is finishing this job and getting this job done with these Americans. I am so fixated on the Americans, it's not even funny. It's not going to change. I'm going to live this way until to my last breath on earth. Okay? That's where I'm at. Now, if you're not that dedicated, this might not be for you. This might not be for you. This is for people who have already locked in and say, you know what? It's the end of the world, and we just going to keep fighting until we beat the Americans. We're going to keep fighting spiritually until we beat the Americans. And we don't care if there's no future. We don't care if there's no future for the men, the women, and the children. We don't care about no future. For no children or no grown people. Or no teenagers or nobody in between. We don't care nothing about no future. We don't care nothing about no darn future. And if you care about the future, this page ain't for you. You can walk away. I give you a chance to walk away. Go ahead, unsubscribe and walk away. Unlike, you can go and unlike all my videos and unsubscribe. We mean business. Now, everybody I got left, listen. Sun Tzu taught this in the Art of War. Sun Tzu taught that and I'm paraphrasing, if any military is not afraid of death, nothing is impossible for them. Nothing is impossible. If you're not afraid of death, nothing is impossible. This is how I got this far. I'm not afraid to die. This is how I got this done. I'm not afraid of death. To a man my age, death is underrated. Overrated. Death is overrated. When everybody gonna die, I think it's overrated. All these rappers talking about what they'll do to you. Okay, well, we're all gonna die. Death is overrated. We're all gonna die. These are hands that have been offended. God is on my side. I put that on all my credibility. I am not God, and I am not Jesus Christ, and I am not a Messiah, and I'm not no king of the earth, and I'm not no king or any of that stuff. I am a prophet of God, submitted to God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Ghost. Right? That's it. No divination, no psychic energy, no telepathy, none of that foolishness. These are the hands of offense. The hands they offended, that are the hands of a prophet. If you put money in my hands, don't be simple-minded. Stop thinking about, oh, well, how can money do it? Listen. I need you to listen. I need you to be real mature right now. It's people that are stealing my offerings. This is what should make you cash out me right here. People actually stole my offering out of the United States Postal Service's facility. They stole it. The letter arrived to the people, that the church in California that I was sending it to. I used to live in California. I'm now in North Carolina, in Charlotte. They screenshot me a picture. They sent me a picture of the envelope when it got to California. They stole the money out. These people know that my offering is effective. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's people that know that this offering is effective. They know the offering is effective. They've been stealing. I'm gonna give you two incidents, altercations, I guess you could say. You know the little blue drop box that's all around every great metropolis in America. Every big metropolis, I won't say great, ain't none of it great. Every big metropolis in America, they got the blue drop box, mail drop box, right? Right before I left Brooklyn, because I lived in New York City too. Right before I left Brooklyn, the last offering that I was about to give, they was aware I was about to give it. Remind you, the telepaths watch my mind, so they know when I'm about to go give an offering, and they know they send all their people out there and do all this kind of stuff. They knew which drop box I always drop my mail at. See, when you keep a routine with the gang stalkers, you keep a simple routine, you will watch with that simple routine how many different times they try to do stuff, and how they'll sophisticate an attack against that same simple routine. Stick to the same routine and see how they do stuff. Don't change nothing different. Don't do nothing different. Don't try to do nothing different, because that's what you're gonna be tempted to do if you're being gang stalked, trying to do a different route, walk a different route. Nope, walk the same route, so that they can pay for what they've done. So they can listen. So they can pay in full for what they've done. Because as long as they play with your route, as long as they play with you, while you ain't doing nothing to them, they're gonna pay for every bit of that. So I went to the same mail drop off right in front of the post office. They put glue, like Gorilla Glue, at the top of the mouth of the drop box, where my letter almost stuck to the top of the drop box. Luckily, I put it in so easy, it didn't rip or it didn't stick. I peeled it off very easily. What's the odds that Gorilla Glue, or glue like Gorilla like glue, what's the odds that Gorilla like glue is in the drop box where you put mail, paper mail? Now, glue to mail, or Gorilla like glue to mail, come on, man. That's contrast. They did it on purpose. They tried to stop my last offering when I was in New York in April. When I was leaving in April, they put glue in the drop box to try to stick my offering at the top of the drop box. When I got down here in Charlotte, they stole the offering that I sent by mail, the next offering. The next to the last offering. I sent one offering successfully. Then the next one I sent one at the end of April. It was successful. That I sent to Vietnam. I sent money to Vietnam. I'm not playing any games. The next offering I sent at the top of May, around May 13th, they stole that once it got over there in California. So before I left Brooklyn, they tried to steal that offering. The one that with the glues that stuck to the top of the mailbox, but I pulled it down successfully and put it, and it got down there in the drop box. And then when I came down south and I sent some mail to California, they stole that. So basically, they've been afraid of the offering since officially about April. They've been hands-on and manual about stealing the offering or stopping the offering officially since April 2026. So what's that? May, June, July, August, for 4 months. 4 months they've been petrified of the offering. I'm telling you, real, based on true stories. All you need to do. Why you think they're afraid? Because they seen spiritual manifestations. They seen things happening. All this stuff that's happening, all the worlds that's changing. The offering. Like I claim, this is the punchline. I don't claim to be a special person. But if you put the offering in my hands, this will get done. Do you believe that? And it's just like the real world. It's just like the real world. The one that can change everything, that's the one that ain't nobody supporting. Everybody want this stuff to go away. Everybody talking about the gang stalkers, we wish it to go away. They offended a prophet. It's a perfect opportunity for you to invest in. They offended a prophet, right? I am in the right condition. I could be a prophet that's just laid over doing drugs, no good. I am in a spiritual position after they offended the prophet, right? I'm in a spiritual position. All you gotta do is consistently, as much as you humanly possibly can, outside of your own necessities, outside of your own bills, as much as you possibly can. I'm asking my subscribers to give into these hands of offense that they have offended. And I can finish this job. I promise you that. On everything I love, I can get this done, because I've seen things and they've seen things. That's why they're trying to steal the offering. They ain't doing no other Christian like that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They ain't scared of nobody's offering but mine. They scared of this offering coming through my hands. It's 1 million people giving offerings at church, but their hands have not been offended. My hands are offended. You see what I'm saying? These are hands that are offended. They're ready to work and go to war against the Americans. My hands are offended. Okay, these hands are offended when they pass through my hands. When they pass through my hands, it's going to do great and mighty damage, because the offering has went through the hands of offended hands. People that played and put an STD in the prophet's body on purpose. They did it on purpose. They sent somebody to me on purpose. They've been gang stalking me and sending people to me on purpose. All you got to do is trust what you feel. That's how confident I am. Pray about it. Pray about you giving a commitment to stand with me so we can get this done. I need your support, because I can't even go out there and really work. No, I can't. It's too much. It's too many people on my trail. It's too many. You see what I'm saying? I just need a good amount of money and I can finish this job. I can finish this job. All I need is the right amount of money. They're trying to shut me down. Okay? I just need the right amount of money. I just need you to commit to this cause. You want to see these gang stalkers gone? You want to see this stuff gone? Listen, man. This is what I want you to do. When you give an offering, what I want you to do is look at the news right after that. Start looking at the news right after that for the next week after you give an offering. And you tell me you don't see things that happen. You can send me your email. I'm going to start posting my email. So that me and you can talk. We can talk about what's going on after you give an offering. I know I can get this done. My enemies are petrified. They're petrified for me to get my hands on any money. You gotta trust me. I'm not even using it for myself. Here and there, I might get an offering and use it for food or use it for something else. But 90% and better of the time, this money, especially now, this money is going to ministry, to churches around the world, so that we can finish this war. This is how we're working with spiritual warfare. I challenge you to look up in the Bible the offerings that were given during times of war, because many of you are just now jumping on board. I can't do a whole message about it. I really don't have the time on a particular video to do with one subject after the other subject, but I've done a video on the spiritual offering You can Google this in the Google search. The spiritual offering given to God during times of war. And this offering was given. It wasn't a tithe. It was not a tithe. It was not 10%. It was an offering given specifically for God to do something in a conflict. When God's people had a conflict with other people. This was an offering that was given during times of war. Go look it up. Go look it up. Spiritual offering given during times of war in the Bible. And you will be so surprised. See, all you got to do is go educate yourself. See, me, I love education. So any thoughts that come to my mind, I always Google AI mode and Google it and then put it on the AI mode and get all the information. I Googled search information and then put it on AI mode and I get all the information I need on anything that crosses my mind. What I want you to do is trust what I'm telling you. I'm known nationwide. I'm known by Trump. Donald Trump knows who I am. The Freemason police know who I am. The famous people, the rappers, all these people know who I am. Now you know that I know. The black community know who I am. The culture knows who I am. All this black culture know who I am. They know the prophet. Now you know. I could have been ripping and raving about that and all this time. I already know they know who I am. You see? I'm that spiritual person that came to America. I'm that spiritual person that arose out of America. It's me. They offended me. They went to war with me because they knew I was special. They went to war with me because they thought it would be a fun game to go to war with a special person like me. You see what I'm talking about? They thought it would be a fun game to play with a spiritual person like me. No, let's slow down right there. They thought it would be a fun game. These goofy white Americans, these goofy black Americans, these goofy Hispanic and Latinos, they thought it would be a fun game to play with someone. With gang stalking and psychological games that is spiritual like me, right? They thought it would be a fun, innovative game. All you need to do is put the offering in my hands. Make a commitment. Decide to make a commitment. Because if you want this to happen, like listen, it ain't nothing else I want to do. I don't want to be a singer. I don't want to be a rapper. I don't care about the future. All I want to do is finish my job. And if you ask around, being that all these people know me, the famous people know me, Donald Trump knows who I am. They all know who I am. Right? All you need to do is put the offering in my hand. They all are petrified. They're all scared of me. I want you to try it. I want you to try to see what happens. Thank you, Coco Wilburn. Thank you, Miss Patricia, that sent me an offering. Thank you for my cousin sending me money. Thank you for all those who send offerings. Everything. I listen. I look at every name. I look at everybody who send me offerings, and I am grateful. Okay? What I'm going to do is make a list and write your names down so I can name them off. But everybody who heard their name know who they are, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your support from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my soul. I really do. Coco Wilburn, you my day one. I appreciate you. Miss Patricia, you sent me some money, you know what I'm saying, that said, and you're enjoying my videos. So only one person could have said that, you know. So you know you are, with the Cash App, you sent it and you put a message that said, enjoying your videos. So Miss Patricia, thank you so much. All you got to do is be consistent with helping me as you can. Even if it's $1 here and there. Listen. Let me tell you what I can do with $1. I can take 50 cents and send it to a church in Mexico. I can take dimes, 1 penny, and send it to Mexico, and it's like 30 cents that I can send to a church. This is what I do with my change that's in my Cash App. I take and flip it and send it, take the USD change and flip it to Mexico. So even if it's 50 cents left over in my Cash App, I send that to Mexico, and it's like $5, $10, $20, like just a couple dollars of change. So when it gets low like that, when it's low numbers like that, I send them to Mexico City in Mexico, right? That's what I'm doing. I'm telling. That's not an example of just an example I made up. That's what I'm doing. So I want you to realize that any money, even $1 a week, will be appreciated. Consistency is most important. Consistency is most important is what I ask. I'd rather you send $1 a week than $20 every other month. About the same thing. You see what I'm saying? About the same thing. You do the math, about the same thing. But I'd rather be attacking consistently instead of waiting every other month. And it's all gonna add up to $20, right? Let's just say you send me $20 every other month. $1 a week will only be like $4, right? You see where I'm going with this? And I'd rather for you to have taken that $20 and just set it aside and just send it a couple dollars every week. $3 or $4 every week. And be consistent with that. And because the in-betweens is where the enemy is going to attack. I can take $1 and make an attack with $1. I send it to Mexico. Spiritual people down in Mexico. There's no amount that's too small. Don't ever feel bashful. Don't ever feel like you're being a cheapskate. Because when it comes to the offering, I'm giving everything I got. See, the power of sacrifice is in play too. Just remember that. So that's what I need is your consistent commitment. If your commitment is a couple dollars, that's all I need. A week, couple dollars a week, that's all I need. For God's true people, salute. Over and out.